The first time the town saw Eli cross, he was carrying a tree on his shoulder as if it weighed no more than a sack of grain. Dust clung to his boots, the sun burned his bare back, and his long, dark hair was tied into rough braids that moved with every step. Men stopped talking. Horses shifted nervously. Even the wind seemed to pause. Eli did not look at them. He walked straight through the main street, past the saloon, past the church that had never opened its doors to men like him, and toward the trading post. Behind him followed whispers. Savage, half-breed, too strong to trust. Eli had heard those words his whole life. They had followed him from the mountains where he was born, to the ranches where he worked until his hands bled, to every town that needed his strength but never wanted his presence. He had learned long ago that silence was safer than defense. Inside the trading post, a girl sat on a wooden bench near the wall. Her name was Mara, though no one used it kindly anymore. She was known instead as the Wild One, the girl no man could handle, the girl whose parents had died on the trail west and whose temper had grown sharper with every rejection. She had worked kitchens, stables, laundries, and been sent away from all of them. Too stubborn, too loud, too defiant. She was 18 and already exhausted from surviving. When Eli stepped inside, the air changed. Mara looked up, ready to argue with whoever had come to inspect her like livestock. Her breath caught instead. He was enormous, not just tall, but carved, as if hardship itself had shaped him. His skin was sun-darkened, scarred, real. His eyes, though, were what held her. They were not cruel. They were not hungry. They were simply tired. The trader smiled, eager. Strong man like you needs help. This one's trouble, but cheap. Mara stood immediately. I'm not cheap. The trader rolled his eyes. See? Eli studied her quietly. He noticed the way her hands clenched, how her chin lifted in defense, how her eyes dared the world to try breaking her again. He recognized that look. He had worn it himself once. What's your name? He asked. Mara hesitated. She comes with warnings, the trader said. Won't submit. Won't behave. Eli nodded slowly. Good. Both Mara and the trader stared at him. I don't need someone who submits, Eli continued. I need someone who stands. The trader scoffed. She'll run. Eli met Mara's gaze. Will you? Something inside her cracked. Not open, not healed. Just cracked enough to let air in. No, she said. But I won't be owned. Eli placed coins on the counter. Neither will I. That was how it began. Eli's ranch sat miles outside town, tucked between dry hills and stubborn land that refused to yield easily. The house was small, built by his own hands, every beam measured with patience rather than skill. Mara arrived tense, waiting for the moment kindness turned into control. It never did. Eli showed her where the water was drawn, where food was kept, where she could sleep. He spoke little. When he did, it was honest. I work hard, he said. I don't hit. I don't cage. You leave if you want. Mara waited for the hidden cost. It never came. Days passed. She helped with animals, learned the land, burned meals, and laughed at herself for it. Eli corrected her gently when needed, never raised his voice. At night, she lay awake listening to the quiet, confused by the absence of fear. People rode out from town sometimes, curious. Eli answered none of them. Trouble came anyway, just not in the way they expected. One evening, a group of men arrived drunk, angry that Eli had taken something they believed belonged to the town's judgment. Words turned sharp. Accusations flew. Mara stood frozen as one man reached for her arm. Eli moved. He did not strike in rage. He stepped between them, solid and unyielding. His voice was low, calm, terrifying in its control. She stays, he said. You leave. They laughed until Eli lifted a man off the ground with one hand and set him, down like a warning instead of a threat. The laughter died. That night, Mara cried for reasons she couldn't explain. No one had ever chosen her without conditions. As weeks turned into months, something unfamiliar grew between them. Not romance. Not yet. Trust, shared meals, shared silence. The slow unlearning of pain. Mara talked in fragments at first. About being unwanted, about being blamed for things she couldn't control, about learning that anger was safer than hope. Eli listened. When he spoke of his past, it was sparing. A mother buried young, A father who taught him strength but not softness. A world that saw his body as threat before it saw his heart. One night, under a sky thick with stars, Mara said, "Do you ever wish you were smaller?" Eli considered it. "No," he said. "I wish the world was less afraid." Winter came hard. Crops failed. Money ran thin. Eli grew quieter, carrying more weight than logs on his shoulders. Mara noticed. She sold small things she made. She worked harder. She stood beside him in ways that did not demand anything back. When Eli fell ill one night, burning with fever, Mara stayed awake, pressing cool cloths to his skin, terrified of losing the one place she belonged. "You shouldn't be here," he murmured. "You deserve more." "So did you," she whispered. "Still do." He survived. Spring arrived reluctant but determined. The town began to change its tune when Eli's ranch endured while others failed. When Mara walked beside him without shame. When they saw that wildness was not destruction but resilience. Love came quietly. It arrived in the way Eli reached for Mara's hand without thinking, in the way she leaned into his presence without fear, in the way silence became shared rather than lonely. When Eli finally kissed her, it was tentative, reverent, as if asking permission even then. Mara cried again, this time because it felt safe to. The past did not disappear. Whispers lingered. Judgment lingered. But they no longer defined her. Years later, when travelers passed through and asked about the townsfolk told a simpler story. Strong man and the woman who tamed him, they said he saved her. Mara knew better. They saved each other.